topic is family. And my question is, who do you think that you're the most like?
Who am I the most like? In appearance?
Yes.
Both appearance and character?
Yeah, both.
Okay, so appearance, I look mostly like my mom, I think.
Okay.
I have more of her like skin tone, I have her eyes,
Yeah.
and on her side of the family, most of the people are pretty skinny, and I'm a rather skinny guy. My dad's side is German, and they tend to be a little bit bigger. So yeah, I definitely got my mom's side. But character-wise, I think I'm a little more like my dad. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say you have shades of your dad.
You know me so well, so you can answer this too.
Yeah, I think you have shades of your dad. Yeah.
Shades, yeah. I think I'm more silly than my dad. That's not very hard because my dad is pretty serious.
He's got a silly side though.
He does, yeah. But for the most part, I think I'm more like my dad because he has a very calm demeanor. He's very patient and he doesn't get stressed about anything. And actually, my dad gets so unstressed about everything, I can't even understand it. I'm like, how are you so calm right now? And everybody I know thinks that I'm like the most stress-free person. Like they know.
But your dad is even more stress-free.
Yeah, but we're similar. Like growing up, when my parents would be going somewhere and needing to get out of the house, me and my dad would be the last one out of the house every single time. And we'd be like, "What? We'll make it. We'll be okay. No problem."
And your mom and brother and sister were saying, "Come on,
my mom
hurry!"
is like, "Go, let's go." My mom is much more high stress, anxious kind of personality.
That's kind of a typical family situation, I think.
How about you?
I think I have both my parents in me as well. I think I look a lot like my mom.
Yeah, she looks exactly like your mom. They're like to a T.
Sometimes when I see pictures of myself we look really similar, and she looks a lot like her mom. So I can kind of imagine what I'll look like when I'm getting older.
Yeah. I mean, you have darker hair and darker features. You got that from your dad.
Yeah, somewhat. But I think a lot of my features are similar to my mom. But I think I also got my facial expressions from my mom. A lot of you comment that, wow, Vanessa, you have a lot of expressions.
Your mom is very expressive, just
and
like you.
I think it's true that I use a lot of expressions, but it's just natural for me. I do this in daily life as I'm talking about things. And I think that I get that from my mom. Sometimes I see some of her expressions and I realize, oh, I do that too.
Yeah, I remember when we lived in South Korea, every single Korean person was commenting on Vanessa's expression. They're like, your face, it's so exciting. How are you making so many faces? Everybody was surprised. So
I don't know.
I guess in Korea they don't make as many faces.
I don't know. Maybe it's just an unusual trait. I'm grateful for that, especially as a teacher. I can hopefully help explain some different concepts with my face as well. But I feel like I also have parts of my dad. My dad is a pretty rational guy.
You're rational like your dad.
Yeah, but I think I also have his sense of humor. It's sometimes a little strange sense of humor, but we laugh at the same things. We enjoy playing games and being competitive, so I think that side of me, maybe some of the character side of me is similar to him. But I feel like I also have parts of my grandma. My grandma is a go, 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 go person.
That's true.
She never stops, and I think my biggest flaw is that I have difficulty slowing down and relaxing. I just keep going, and I think
that's why she's with me.
I need help relaxing.
I help her relax.
Yeah, so I think that my grandma's like this too, that she's always going and always doing things, and it's healthy to slow down every now and then, and so I need to do that. She probably needs to do that too sometimes, but I don't know if I learned that from her, but maybe that's just part of my
I think it's your personality.
DNA, my character.
I can remember even when I first met Vanessa, she was more go, go, go than she is now.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, more like, do this thing and the next, and like the enthusiasm was always, she was like bouncing
I always
everywhere.
have a lot of enthusiasm, that's true.
It was off the charts.
Yeah, so I want to know for you, who are you most like in your family? Is it maybe your physical traits or for your character? All right, let's go on to the second question. The next topic is childhood. I want to know, when do you think childhood ends and when do you become an adult?
When does
This is a deep question.
Well, I don't think it can be a specific age. I think it's different for everyone. I think it's at any point you can leave the house of your parents and live on your own. Take care of yourself. And you're not like dependent on somebody else. Like if you're living with your friends and bumming off them, you're probably not an adult yet. So if I had to pick like an age, I'd probably say like 16.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm saying kind of young. In an ideal world, I think a 16-year-old should be ready.
Okay.
But-
At 16, were you ready?
No, of course not.
Ideally.
Ideally, yeah, I don't think, our society prepares us to be ready at 16. It prepares you to be ready at 18.
Or later.
Right, or later. So, but, in an ideal world, I think you could be ready at 16. But it's a kind of complicated world now, so maybe 18 is an acceptable age.
I feel like for me, I have less ideas about childhood ending and adulthood starting that are physical. I feel like it has more to do with making your own decisions. There might be a lot of reasons why you have to live at home. You have to be dependent on someone else. But if you are making your own decisions, you are not a child, you're an adult. And I'm sure as our children get older and become teenagers, that's going to be a little bit harder for us to make that line for someone else.
Yeah.
But I know for myself,
Well, this
making
is
more decisions.
assuming you are capable as a person to live on your own.
Yeah, I think you can still be an adult just making your own decisions. It's a gray area. Yeah,
I would
it's not so clear.
also add, I don't know, for myself personally, having children really makes you an adult. It doesn't have to be true for everyone, but I think it's easier for some people to just kind of be really selfish and do their own thing and kind of live like a kid, especially nowadays because we have so much entertainment. You could just watch TV every day. A lot of guys I know play video games a lot. I'm not knocking on video games, but playing video games every day is a good way to remain a child. At heart, anyways. This is my opinion. It's a little judgmental.
Yeah, I think if you are a good person and you have a child, then you feel forced to become an adult. There's still bad people who have kids who remain children
That's
themselves,
true.
and then they're bad parents. But I think if you're generally a good person, when you have kids, it's kind of a shock.
Yeah,
Like,
well-
whoa, this child is so dependent on me. I need to be responsible. I
Yeah.
have to organize myself somehow, and
Well, I
you
think
have to change.
being an adult, part of it is having a burden of responsibility of some kind. So whether it's a job or your house payments or whatever it is. So some people add those burdens of responsibility anyways without children. But I don't know. For me, it's just different. Like, this is the person I'm taking care of in my life. People.
Absolutely. So I have a question for you. When do you think childhood ends? When does adulthood start? It's going to be different for every culture too, because this is a pretty cultural specific question. Maybe
Yeah, maybe
in
you
the
have
US
a-
it's different than your country.
Maybe you have a rite of passage in your country.
Oh, can you explain what a rite of passage is? Because that's kind of a nuanced
Yeah,
thing.
a rite of passage is something that every boy or every girl does to become an adult.
Like some ceremony
Yeah,
or
like a ceremony.
activity.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have this in the U.S. Some people say college is a rite of passage, but not. I mean, more and more, almost everybody goes to college now.
A lot of people do
Yeah,
that.
so it kind of is, but it's a really bad one because usually people just go and they have parties and they live really irresponsibly.
It's not a way to become a responsible adult.
Yeah, and then you do more school.
Yeah.
It's not really, becoming a man.
Changing your life completely. Yeah, so I'm curious, in your country, is there something that signifies now you are an adult, this kind of rite of passage ceremony? This big change going from childhood to adulthood. Celebrate that as parents when your kids are adults, hopefully. And that as a child, oh great, now I'm an adult, society sees me as an adult. So I think it's kind of a cool idea, but maybe it's something we can do with our Alright, let's go on to the next topic. The next topic is jobs. I want to know, what was your worst job ever?
Worst job ever.
Yeah.
Well, I have two competing jobs.
Hopefully it's not your current job making English lessons.
It's video editing and doing these videos.
Oh,
It's
no!
terrible. I can't stand working with my wife. Just kidding. It's the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, really my worst job, if I had to pick just one, it would be being a dishwasher.
Oh.
Now
okay.
notice there's no differentiation between the machine a dishwasher and the person who's a dishwasher.
Uh-huh.
It's the same word.
So you were like the machine. You were
Yeah.
washing dishes.
I mean, you did have a machine, so you'd have like something on the side, you'd slide the dishes in and all that. But it's just, I was also like, I think I was 16 at the time, an adult,
Okay.
and I had no friends in the restaurant. They were all older and they were all really tough. I don't know, in America, when you kitchens have a reputation for having really kind of tough kitchen cooks, and they swear a lot and they make
Had a lot of life
foul jokes.
experiences.
And I was just like a little Christian 16-year-old kid washing dishes in the corner, trying to look like, relatively normal. But I didn't talk to anybody.
And you were homeschooled.
Yeah,
no experiences.
Well, at that time I was in high school. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it was a small private school.
You were very
Anyways,
different
so
from the other
not only was that really awkward, it was also bad because washing dishes just kind of stinks. You just get all the dishes, and some of the guys used to make fun that I wasn't going fast enough. One guy said, "Dan, you have two speeds, slow and stop."
You're like a turtle.
Yeah, I'm like a turtle.
Well, sometimes I still say that.
I wasn't fast enough. And another time I reached into the mucky, dirty water and I cut my finger on a broken glass and I was bleeding in the water.
Oh, things you don't want to know when you visit a restaurant.
And I was paid under the table.
Oh, really? Why'd they have to pay you under the table?
So it's an
You were too
Italian
young?
restaurant in rural Pennsylvania.
They didn't want to pay taxes on all their employees or
Yeah.
something? Oh.
Like, who wants to pay taxes
I
on
wonder if it was
dishwasher?
because you were 16. Like, was there an age
I
limit?
might have even been 15.
Okay, maybe you were under the legal age that they can hire someone. So
Could be.
maybe-
So that was pretty good.
Especially as a first. It just seems uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
How about you?
I feel like,
Could it beat that?
well, I feel like my worst job wasn't bad because of the social situation like yours. It was bad because it was so boring. So I worked for a summer at this office. I was like a temporary employee just for the summer, working kind of like a call center job, but every day they gave us these scripts and we had to call. Yeah, and I called the company and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we recently bought the printer and we have an upcoming training session on this day. Would you like to attend a training session about this printer?"
She does have a really good call voice.
And I called so many companies again and again, talking with the secretaries, talking with other people, just saying,
If you called me, I'd be like, yeah, I do. Can I buy more?
well, people were generally nice to me. It was just, it wasn't a subject that I was interested in. It wasn't something I was trained to do, so I didn't feel like it was my specialty. It was just a temporary job
And you're
to make money.
sitting in an office all day, right?
Yeah, it was my first office job.
Vanessa doesn't like to sit very long.
So I have to go, like we talked about. So sitting in that office desk, it was just not my thing. But the office, on the other hand, did really try to make it interesting for the employees because they knew most of the people I worked with were in a similar position as me, where it wasn't their lifelong dream to work in that job. So about once a week, we had these game show competitions.
That sounds fun.
Where at lunch, during the lunch break, everyone would go to the lunchroom, if you wanted to, of course, and they had these competitions, kind of like Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy, and the company just had them for the employees. Sometimes we had dress-up days where we dressed up like cowboys or dressed up like this. They're trying to make it interesting.
Come on, that's better than being a dishwasher.
It's probably better than being a dishwasher. But I just felt like they were trying so hard to
Make
keep
it
employees, to make it interesting,
Alright.
because they knew Okay, what was it?
It's the sharpshooter.
Oh, can you explain about that job?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever seen this in your country, but have you ever been to a place where somebody takes your picture and then later they try to sell you that picture? I was that guy. So we took the same pictures. It was going onto a boat in on one of the rivers in Pittsburgh.
So yours kind of like a cruise boat.
Yeah,
a river cruise.
It was very kitschy though, like not high class at all. So people, before they got on the boat, we forced them to stop and go through the line, and we'd take their picture, and it was like required. But people were like, oh, I don't want to get my picture taken.
And everyone had their own cameras and phones.
And this is
they
mind
didn't
you,
need
this
that.
is in like 2010, where people already have like phones on their cameras and stuff. I mean, that's at least getting more popular.
Yeah, they didn't need your picture.
No. And so I had to take everybody's picture, and then when they got off the boat, I stood at the side and said, hey, come over here, buy this picture. And they were like $20 for one picture. Like,
Crazy.
A terrible ripoff. Even I knew it was a terrible ripoff. It's not a worthwhile business, at least in 2010 when I was doing that.
Yeah, maybe 10 years before that,
Yeah,
it would have been cool.
It was a viable business like 30 years ago.
But not now.
Yeah, but not anymore. So that was really bad. And one time somebody stole one of my pictures, and I actually got fired from that job.
Because they stole a picture.
Because they stole a picture and I didn't catch them on time, and I was like, good riddance.
Yeah, goodbye to this job.
Yeah.
Goodbye forever.
The only reason this was better than the other job, than dishwashing, is because I worked with some people who were funny and we got along pretty well.
And you were outside, you were by the river.
It was okay.
Except you did have to drive an hour to get there. That's crazy.
I did drive an hour to work.
You should never drive an hour to get to a
But
part-time
that was
job.
my fault. I wanted to work in Pittsburgh, and I still lived. Did I live with my parents? I think I did. I wasn't an adult yet.
All right, well, I'm curious for you. What is the worst job that you've ever had? Let us know. So I want to know, what are 3 locations that you'd like to visit or revisit in the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Yes.
Why just the U.S.?
Well, the world's a big place, so I had to narrow down the question somehow.
Okay. All right, the first place I'd say is the Grand Canyon, because of course you have to see the Grand Canyon. I've never been there. I used to live in Colorado. My family never made a trip to the Grand Canyon. And it just would be an amazing sight. And second, just in general, because I've
Not
heard,
like Portland, Seattle specifically.
I think I would like to go to Seattle, because it's a big city and the city sounds cool. Not many cities in the U.S. are that interesting to me, because I've traveled in other places in Europe, Asia, and those cities are so much except for New York.
Actually, a lot of students
Sorry, U.S.
want to visit the U.S. and they want to see these places.
But I'm also from America, so you know it's like not
It's always
as-
less interesting.
Yeah, it's less interesting. But Seattle seems like a really cool town, and it's higher on my list than say Los Angeles.
Seems like a lot more.
No offense, LA.
Seems a lot more intimidating. Like
That's a nice way to put it.
there's a lot going on there, but Seattle feels more comfortable.
Yeah, it
So
seems pretty hip.
the Northwest.
Yeah, so the Northwest also, because there's big mountains there, and then there's really lush and green forests, and I love taking hikes. And if you go at the right time of the year, because I've heard it's very rainy in the Pacific Northwest, I'd like to go and take a nice hike up to a big mountain, and maybe hop over to Canada, go to Vancouver Island. All of that area sounds really, really cool to me.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Yes.
Let's do it
Let's do it.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe not tomorrow, but I think that'd be really cool.
And third would be Colorado.
So revisit
So
Colorado.
this is our revisit. So I used to live in Colorado. I grew up there for 5 years of my life, and it was when I was a kid, and I used to really consider it my home. But now I haven't been back in probably 15 years or so. So it's been a really long time since I've been back, and I'd like to go and maybe travel to where I was when I was a kid. It's gotten so much bigger than it was when I was a kid, so I'm sure there's so many more people there, but also there's really great nature. There's a lot of really big mountains in Colorado. There's the Garden of the Gods, which has really interesting rock formations. As you can tell, we're very nature driven. We want to go see natural things.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my places have to do with nature too. But
Yes, let's hear it.
I almost said the Grand Canyon, but
You knew I was going to say.
I kind of figured you'd say it, and I think it would be really cool to camp in the Grand Canyon or go for a long hike in the Grand Canyon because you can't
With
just.
2 children?
Well, maybe when they're older, or maybe we'll just leave them at
They
home.
can take it.
'Cause when you're looking down at the Grand Canyon, that's incredible. But I imagine going down into the Grand Canyon, that would also be just another part
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
we'd have to
amazing.
hike down to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I should have mentioned that for sure.
Maybe with a donkey.
Because we're big hikers. We like to hike everywhere.
Yeah. Well, one of my places is kind of the opposite of yours. It's not a big city, but you said the Pacific Northwest, and I said the Northeast. So I've never been to Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, this area, and I feel like one of the best road trips would be driving all the way up the east coast of the U.S. and going around Maine and coming down to Vermont. I think all of that geography is just really different than everywhere else I've visited in the U.S. So I've heard the coasts, like the northeast coasts, are really rocky and lots of this kind of like rugged coastline that I think would be really cool to see. And the forests, I've heard the forests in Vermont are amazing, just a different type of feel. We live in the mountains here in North Carolina, which is also a great place to visit, but we already are here. But I feel like the mountains and the forests and the coast and other places are pretty various.
Yeah, it's also close to Canada.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Got to hop over to Quebec.
Yeah, maybe do that.
That sounds like a really cool place. Vanessa speaks French, so
That'd be cool.
she speaks French to some Quebecois.
That would be fun. Well, one of my others was kind of similar to what you're saying with Colorado and that area, is going to Yosemite National Park. I feel like it's just a classic place to visit in the U.S. because there's so many national parks on the West Coast. It's kind of hard to choose. So I feel like if
Well, that one's a must.
yeah,
I
it's
think.
kind of one of the top 3.
Although I've heard it's gotten crazy popular.
Oh, yeah?
It could be on like lists to get in.
Whoa, really?
Right? Maybe it's to just camp. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Your dad went through a lot of stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, when they camped, they had to, I think the camping spots were open, say like May 3rd, the camping spots were opened and you had to go online to sign up, and the website opened, the camping registration opened at 6 a.m. He booked at like 6:05 and there were 2 spots left. Like everyone was cramming to camp in that spot. So
Camping season!
I guess it's really popular, and that was for the whole year. That wasn't just for that day. That was to book a spot to camp for that whole year. Anyway, that's crazy. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we need to book it 5 years in advance.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool to visit national parks in the West because most tourism, well, there's a lot of city tourism in the U.S. I feel like a lot of tourism is natural tourism.
Yeah, the meat of our tourism is
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah, because I feel like the U.S. is such a young country that we don't have Rome. We don't have these old cities and this kind of stuff you can visit in cities. It's more nature. It's old.
Except New York City.
Yeah, except New York. Got a lot of cool stuff.
As you can tell, I'm a big fan of New York. Just,
It's a cool place
it's a
to
wild
visit.
animal.
Yeah.
There's like some quote about New York City. It's like,
Yeah.
you'd be crazy to live here, you'd be crazy to leave.
Oh, well, I heard another quote
Which is perfect.
that said, New York is twice as fun, but it's 3 times as expensive. So it's really fun, but it's expensive. Well, my third and final place is, I guess,
I don't remember.
Hawaii.
Oh, I read your list before, but I don't remember.
Well, I feel like Hawaii, it's in the U.S., but it's not.
Yeah.
It's so far away, but it's still part of the U.S.
Yeah.
And it would be incredible
It's kind of like
to visit
cheating.
Hawaii.
It's like, I'm in the U.S.
And it's so
And it's
far
like,
away from the U.S.
This is America.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I'm curious if you've ever been to Hawaii, if you'd recommend it. I mean, your parents are planning on going there next May.
And get this, my mom was like, and I booked these extra rooms just in case somebody wanted to join.
So
She like,
we will have a 2-month-old baby when they go. Maybe we'll go to Hawaii. I don't know. It's a little soon. I
I'm
think
saying,
we'll let you know.
you'll find out.
I think it'd be really cool to go to Hawaii just to see the diving. And it's so different.
That would be the problem. Trying to do all we want. But if my parents are there, they can watch the kids.
So we're gonna crash their vacation and
Yes!
make them watch our kids
Yes!
while we go have fun.
Vacation crashers!
Sounds great. So
Hej,
I'm
hej.
curious,
Va?
what are some
Ja, det ska ju
vacations
regna
that
sen
you
hela dagen.
visited in the US, or maybe somewhere that you've already been that you'd like to go back to? Let us know. Let's go into it. Next topic is food. So I don't know, what are some of your favorite foods? Not to eat out, not that someone else pays.
Yes, usually I go for cold.
Okay.
Not both items, both meals. Something that I can eat for days and days and
Or you
days.
can put it in the freezer and have the next week.
This is a very, I think, a male way to think about it. You gotta make it both and make it nice.
Utilitarian. I don't like making a new meal every single day.
Yeah.
If we have a soup that's in the freezer that we made the week before, that's great. Save some time.
Sure, yeah. So the first thing I like to make, I think we have the same one,
Oh yeah.
is chili.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we both like to make chili.
Yeah. Some
Usually,
people call this chili con carne in other countries, but in the US we just say chili.
usually I make the chili, so I mean it's so easy to make this time. Ton of spices, throw it in a pot and make it boil, and it's done.
Yeah, it's great, and it gets even better as it kind of melds those flavors together
Yeah.
over a couple days.
And you throw in some cheese and sour cream and some kind of grain, some rice or something. And yeah, it's always very satisfying. It reminds me of fall and winter. It's very nice, cozy meal.
Hot tip, don't leave it on your counter for 3 days and then try to eat it. It should always go in the fridge after you
did
eat
that?
it. Dan did that in
Oh.
college and got sick.
Yeah, I didn't leave it on the counter. My roommate
Oh.
left the chili out.
And you just ate it.
Yeah, he left the pot out. It was already like, this is college life here. It was already probably a week old. And he left it on the counter all day, and he didn't tell me, and then I went and ate it that night, and then I got really sick.
But you still like chili. So
But
it
I
di-
still like chili.
It didn't change your idea of chili.
Probably did for like a year.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that's
feel
right.
like we're especially thinking
TMI?
about thinking about those types of foods because it's getting colder here. So making lots of warm, hearty foods as opposed to
Yes.
in July we don't make chili because it's so hot.
Yeah.
We make other kinds of
I have trouble making summer food because I like hot food.
like
Although-
soups and that kind of stuff.
When we lived in South Korea, I think, didn't they have something where they eat something super hot in the summer?
I think like
It's
hot
like,
or
I'm
spicy
just eating and
and
you're
that kind
sweating, the water's pouring off your face, and yeah, this is healthy. It's a very Korean thing.
wow.
You
Well,
gotta be diligent.
what are some of your other favorite foods? You said chili. We're on the first one.
Number 2 would be tacos. I got a Mexican food thing, I think. Although I don't consider chili Mexican food. But you said chili con carne.
Maybe.
Maybe it's Mexican inspired.
Yeah, what kind of tacos do you like to make? Because there's so
So,
many different types.
Ground beef again, just all the spices, and it's kind of one of those like easy things to make, and then you compile all kinds of toppings. You can put salsa on it. Yeah, it's just delicious.
I like when you make fish tacos.
Yeah, fish tacos are good too.
So sometimes when Dan makes fish tacos, or sometimes I make them too, we get some kind of white fish like cod or tilapia and bread it, and then bake it so it's baked, and then you have some kind of cabbage slaw with mixed up on top with some spices in it. And you put that on the tortilla with the fish with the kind of spicy cabbage, maybe slices of avocado.
Yeah,
Yeah, some mayo, maybe
Spicy
some
mayo.
pico de gallo, some salsa on top. That's also great. We make that a lot in the summer because that is kind of a fresh
Yeah.
type of thing.
Well, speaking of fish,
Yes.
my third would be salmon.
Oh, how do you like to make salmon?
Well, I think you can make it in a lot of different ways, but just throw it in the oven with some, like lately we've been adding lemon slices and dill, and just keeping it basic.
Sometimes we
Oh, and
put
butter.
Of course, butter.
That's important.
Sometimes we do it in the opposite way with soy sauce and sesame oil, kind
You
of
do it that way.
more Asian style,
Yeah.
and that's also great rice.
I do it
it's
more
kind of veggie.
European style.
Yeah, well, I think you can't go wrong with salmon.
Yeah, but it's just a very healthy meal that tastes very filling and
Yeah.
fulfilling.
I think your answers have been much more varied than mine,
Oh yeah?
because I was going to say soup, soup, and soup.
Oh.
I think that, especially now, because it's the beginning of winter, those are the types of things that we like to eat. But recently, I've been making a lot of butternut squash soup, and it's a type of squash, and you just peel it, and then you chop it up, and you steam it with some cumin and paprika and coconut milk.
It's a nice
and
appetizer.
red peppers, and you can also you dip some bread in it after it's mixed together because you have to blend it. It feels kind of cleansing, especially if you eat.
It's not filling enough to me.
It's nice to have with something else.
I need some
sometimes.
meat in that.
Typical answer, right? I think we also made a really great, it's called Italian vegetable soup, but I don't know if it's actually Italian. I don't know why it's considered Italian.
Probably Italian American.
Yeah.
Everything Americans say is Italian. I bet you every Italian out there is like, that is not Italian.
Yeah,
What is this?
that is not
Is that
an
Italian?
Italian accent, but that's okay. But I feel like
Zuccolo.
that is
Oh, that's French.
certainly not Italian. So when we make the Italian vegetable soup, it's basically every vegetable you can imagine mixed in a pot, even with some tomatoes and cabbage and everything, peppers and everything mixed together, and some ground beef. And so it kind of has like a hearty, beefy flavor, but it also has a lot of vegetables, so it feels healthy and filling with some nice bread to dip it
It
in.
was very good.
Yeah.
Although I will say that you can probably tell from this conversation that we are not chefs.
No.
We don't prepare like really good meals very often. I
No,
mean,
something
they're
that's fancy.
delicious, but they're not. They don't have like oh, what's a sous vide or something.
Oh, something that's
Yeah.
really exciting. Well,
Although I did make risotto.
oh
That
yeah.
was really good.
You've made risotto a lot.
I made some really good risotto, and I felt like it took a lot of work, and that was fun.
I think it took some particular attention to detail.
You know, you
And
use
I don't
lemon
do that.
zest. Anytime you use lemon zest, I feel like you're probably crossing over to chef territory.
Ah, okay. Well, you have crossed over into chef territory a few times. I remain clearly on the other side, just happily eating whatever you make. But I'm curious for you, what are some of your favorite foods to eat at home? What are some of your favorite foods to make at home? Maybe it's something that comes from your country, or maybe it's just something that you like to make, like toast, something simple. Let us
Toast.
know. Yes. All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is housing. I want you to dream big. If you could have your dream home, what 3 features would it have? So let's say this is a dream home. This is idealistic. This is not realistic.
Probably not going to happen to us.
No, but it's just a dream. Everyone can dream, right? So what would you ideally love
A
to have?
palace, a castle.
Hopefully you can hire some people to clean it at that point.
So the features of the home.
Yes, what 3 features would you love to have if you could dream and build your home?
Well, first I would want the living room, and I don't know if the living room.
Yeah.
When you gather together, when you have a couch and when you visit with friends, I would like this room to be humongous and have a really large window.
Are we talking like soccer field size humongous, or are we talking like twice as big as
I'm
a
talking
normal one?
football stadium big.
Okay.
Just large. Large ceilings, vaulted ceilings, as they say in the industry,
Okay.
and a very large window.
Oh,
Or
okay.
large windows.
I said the same thing. I like anywhere.
Yes, but there's more.
Okay.
And it needs a great view, an incredible view.
Oh, what's a good view for you? What would
So,
you like?
I really love looking out at the ocean. That would be great. I'm not a big fan of where I live on the east coast of America. The beaches are all kind of the same to me. They're not my favorite. This would be like in the Mediterranean, on a big like cliff.
Oh, so it wouldn't
Cliffside.
be in the US. Okay.
It wouldn't be in the US. Sorry, US. Well, maybe some.
Maybe Pacific Northwest.
Maybe
You've
the
never
Pacific
been there. You don't know.
Maybe that's fine.
Yeah. So you'd like an ocean view.
looking down on my kingdom.
So you need to be a king too?
That big.
This is getting a little excessive.
Yeah, a really big open ocean. Remember, this is dreaming.
This is dreaming. All right, keep dreaming. What else would you like?
So it's very open. So close by would be a very connected open kitchen.
So open, you mean it's connected to the
Yeah.
living space?
This is popular, I think, nowadays. Architecture. Yeah, so open to the living.
So as you're cooking,
At
you can
least-
still talk to your guests.
Yeah, at least part of the would be good.
Yeah, so at the moment, our kitchen is open to the living room.
Yes, we have this now.
We don't have an epic,
Except for the
giant living room with a view of the Mediterranean.
And the big kitchen.
Yes, but we have an open space, so it's kind of like one room. Our kitchen is connected to our living space. So when our guests or our friends or our family or our kids are in the living space, the living room, we can see them and still kind of interact. So this type of layout is really popular, at least in newer houses, or as people remodel their houses, they kind of live into this open layout.
Yeah. Oh,
So anything else you would like in this amazing house?
yes, there's one more thing
Okay.
in my palace.
Okay, in your kingdom.
So there would be all kinds of games. So we actually rented a place like this that was very similar.
Well, I went to your grandparents.
Actually, my grandma, it was a beach house, so it was 4 bedrooms. House. Humongous. It was called the Ritz. And so the very top floor of this building was just this giant room, pool table. So that was the ping pong table. But in my house, the ping pong table would be so nice.
Ping pong, foosball, pool,
Other games too. Chess. Yeah, there'd be all
board
kinds of
game
games.
cabinets.
There'd be a TV with video games. It'd just be fun thing. And then I'd have to lock it up so I didn't go in because I'd spend
So you have to request the key from one of
You.
from me? Okay. Well,
gatekeeper, let me in the game room.
I'm sorry to say, but in my dream home, there is that. It's a fun idea. It's a good idea.
Save that for the vacation.
Yeah, that's good if your grandparents rent a house for a week and
Yes.
invite all the family.
Perfect.
That's a good thing to have, but maybe not in my forever house.
What's your forever dream home?
Well, I did say I'd like a main room with a big window. I think that'd be really cool. So we have some.
So what's your ideal view?
I didn't really say. I feel like it doesn't have to be the beach. Maybe not someone else's house right there, but it could be the mountains. That would be nice. But
Sure.
I also like.
Any kind of picturesque.
I don't like to be isolated. So if you have a beautiful mountain view that